of the Worcester Poetry Slam season, ladies and gentlemen. 8 poets, 8 time-tested, battle-hardened competitors will get up on this stage and break your hearts, your funny bones, and possibly some parts you weren't prepared to break. Up here on this stage with their words. Those poets will be getting up here for 3 rounds. Every poet will read in every single round. I'm going to introduce them to you in a moment, or introduce their names to you in a moment. After each poet performs a work of their own original creativity, without props or costumes or musical instruments, perhaps even
animal acts.
What kind of animal acts?
No sex with hippos!
The hippo is there, so we'll be able to tell with pinpoint accuracy if you've had sex with it, ladies and gentlemen. Once the poet has completed their performance, they will sit down, and 5 judges. There are 5 judges in the audience. Those judges will be judging those poets on a scale of 0 to 10. 0. Good God, who told you you should get up on stage and do that? Never do that again. Or 10, spontaneous world peace, orgasms throughout the room, and perhaps the Republicans will give it up. That's the kind of thing that might just happen as a result of this. Possibly. Possibly. Now, normally, I would stand on this stage and I would say, judges, scores, please. No, 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 no. We have an added twist tonight here at the Worcester Poets Asylum. But tonight, we have closed judging. The judges will be placing their scores on a slip of paper, which will be collected by the lovely and talented Dave McPherson, who seems to make a habit of running around and collecting slips of paper. Those will be brought over to the wonderful and stunning Bob Gill, who will crunch the numbers and create a score, which will never be announced, ladies and gentlemen, until the very end of the night. Suspense! Horrors! Amazing. You know why we're doing that? Because we want the poets to focus on delivering and connecting with you as much as we possibly can, and not being distracted by the scores, because what happens is the judges think that they're the arbiters of all poetic wisdom and knowledge, and they're sitting there making scores, and the audience is screaming at them, and then they have to hold up a piece of, a whiteboard that has a score on it. So judges, and by the way, your judges for the evening are Gary, Christina, Jeneth, you are here, right? I heard you. Okay. Jeneth, Kirk, and Rackle, ladies and gentlemen, will be our judges for the evening. Applaud them now, because you may not applaud them again. Judges, could you raise your hands just so Dave can see where you are?
Okay, got it. So
he sort of roughly knows where you are. Cool. Now, judges, you should not be swayed by the audience screaming, ranting, raving, yelling about what scores you should give. Audience, your job, even though you will not know how well you did, is to attempt to influence the judges in every way that you can. Screaming, and cheering, all that fun stuff. Make a lot of noise for what you're going to hear tonight. It is possible. If a poet goes to 3 minutes and then goes over, they get a 10-second grace period. But that 10-second grace period, after that, they start losing half a point for every interval of 10 seconds that they go over. You're not going to know that either. We're going to assess that over there on the lovely Computron. So you have to focus strictly on the poetry tonight. Strictly on the poetry tonight. Strictly on the poetry tonight, which means you got to listen, you got to put your enthusiasm behind it, and you got to really give it up for these 8 poets who have worked very hard to be here on this stage. In order of performance, those poets will be, for the first round, Brandy McDonald, McKendy, is that? Alex Harlan Beatis. You know what? I'm starting over. You know why?
Why?
Because that's lame what you're doing. These people are hard. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Brandy McDonald! Whitney Fizan! Alex Harlan Beatis! Sarah Sapia! Lizzie! Bill McMillan! Tim Casey! And Bobby Gibbs! I'll be on the stage for you really shortly. Are we ready for the slam, ladies and gentlemen? You are incorrect.
What?
Because this stage has not yet had blood spilled upon it.
Uh-oh.
Because at the beginning of every slam, we bring up sometimes one, sometimes two poets who perform an actual thing on this stage as if it were a real poem. This allows the judges to practice the use of the pen, practice their scoring, and otherwise just determine what it is that they're trying to do with that poem. And this makes sure that we have the system worked out, and hopefully the poets, well, we always say that the poets will gain some knowledge from this about what works and what doesn't. Guess what? They ain't gonna know shit tonight! All right, we might announce a score or two for the sax, just to raise some excitement. We have 2 sacrifice poets tonight.
Yes, 2?
We have 2. We're going to bring the first one to the stage now, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome, and I'm going to do it in alphabetical order. Is how I'm going to do it. Because by chance, both of these poets have the same last name. It's actually not by chance, as a matter of fact. But we're going to go by alphabetical order. Let me just think here for a minute. Yes, please welcome to the stage your first sacrificial poet for the night, Ayana Gallant, ladies.
You looked at me perplexed when I grabbed you by the collar and whispered, "Make music to me, because you have been non-jazz-gasmic your entire life. What you once perceived as background was really a century-long sermon in all 12 keys, baby. Jazz is not white noise. It's black screams, red moans, and blue lullabies. This is the language of sex and song spoken by musicians from St. Louis to Chicago to New York City. It's the violinist ripping away from intensity and returning to embrace on the up. It's the saxophonist doubled over, weeping, expelling bebop. It's the tone bone, blowing in 7 positions, sliding and jerking like it's the first time. It's the trumpet player going higher and higher, improvising like a good man should. Jazz is that drummer, beating us down because sometimes we like it rough. It's that guitarist tickling suicide on a fretted neck with a hard strum like the throwing up pants from hips to floor. It's that cellist straddling a curved body like a woman with her feet above her lover's head, screaming a gritty moan from the F-holes. It's that singer caressing the mic, staring at the crowd with bedroom eyes, leaning forward in sonorous domination until the audience has been taken over, screaming mercy with arousing applause.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right, judges, write your scores on a slip of paper. Dave will be picking them up. We're not going to wait until they're calculated, though. So Dave will be going around and picking up the scores, which means that it's time for a second sacrificial poet. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Our second sacrifice for tonight. Let me make sure I get the alphabetical order right. Yes, I do. Please welcome the one and only Matt Gallant.
From the beginning of winter to the tail end of fall, my nose bleeds at least once a day. I have consulted with doctors on the high blood pressure myth, but they all agree I just have hair trigger capillaries. Only unlike menstruation, in that mine is daily and in the middle of my face. The walls of the stairway to my brain break down each day to allow for new drywall, primer, and paint. Most times, I catch it like a thief. Though this time, the thief has grown more bold or desperate and waited until everyone I know is at the same table. While turning over a friend's lovely compliment, as I heft an enormous sandwich, a valve inside my left nostril opens, and out it comes. Unsurprised, I leave my wallet for the bill and head across the street to an alley where I can bleed. Soon the light pinch of napkins I managed to smuggle out are gone, And there is still further nasal demolition scheduled this cool spring evening. Strangers pass throughout, but the sight of a silent, bleeding giant does not offer much passing conversation. Except from that one couple who hand me a wad of tissues, the kind a mother keeps folded in her purse for her crying, sick, or in my case, bleeding son. When my table of friends arrives, the blood stops as mysteriously as it began, and together we stumble from that dark alley, having left my mark. A postmodern splatter on gray brick pavers, walled in by black mulch amid annuals rising, and several napkins crumpled like white carnations.
Yeah.
Matt, go on, ladies and gentlemen. So this whole slam nonsense got started back in the mid-'80s at a place called the Get Me High Lounge in Chicago, where it was started by a construction worker of sorts by the name of Mark Kelly Smith. Really, it really doesn't matter that much, but since then it has grown to be in many countries. I saw an ad today for Poetry Slam Guatemala on Facebook. It is everywhere, and people are doing this all over the world, all over the country. It's become a massive phenomenon, and we are part of it here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So, we talked already. We said we were going to announce the scores, but we decided also we're not necessarily going to announce who got what score. Oh, Bob!
Yes, Tony.
Do you have scores for us?
I do.
What are those scores, Bob?
It's a squeaker. One of the poets got a 24.7.
24.7! Give it up for the poet!
The other poet got a 24.6.
A 24.6 for the other poet! And see, because they are married and we didn't tell them the scores, we can maintain harmony in the relationship this way. But now it's time for the harmony to really fall apart, ladies and gentlemen, because now it's time for the slam. Are you ready? Please welcome to the stage, Brandy McDonald!
She is my heroine, and someday I hope to be just like her. 111 feet tall, 450,000 pounds, and green. Standing on a star-shaped pedestal in the middle of my own island, keeping watch over humanity with my 2-foot-wide eyes, broken shackles, and my Egyptian feet, a goddess, free from oppression and servitude. Her full name is Statue of Liberty, enlightening the world. And I wonder what the verb in my name would be. Enlightening the world sounds exhausting, and I don't think I'm capable, since my own enlightenment is more of a flicker of luminescence, not a stream of illumination. Without enlightenment in my name, I couldn't really justify the torch. In my upstretched arm would be some instrument to aid in the propagation of this mysterious verb I can't identify, and so the dilemma becomes a chicken and egg conundrum. Choose the item first, or the verb. I decide to focus on the wardrobe instead, because every woman is more powerful in the right outfit. Take Liberty, for instance. She's a trendsetter, but what would you expect from a single girl from France who moved to New York? We have some similarities, Liberty and I. No one can look through our gigantic eyes except us, but so many tourists have circled up into our heads, we've had to limit access for our protection. Thanks to the internet, you can virtually tour the inside of Liberty's head at nps.gov or the inside of mine at match.com. And we've dated some of the same guys, too. I know we have, because we have the same motto when it comes to dating. Bring me your tired, your whore, your huddled masses, your free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores and bees, the homeless, the tempest tossed, to me. Fortunately, we have an iron spine, so we stand strong under any conditions without moving more than 3 inches in any direction. Over our sturdy structure, we're wrapped in copper skin, pressed and pounded to a mere 3/32 of an inch thin. Hers pounded with men's hammers, and mine with their minds. When I'm like Liberty, I'll raise my huge Egyptian foot and smash these intruders until there is nothing left of my star-shaped pedestal but a tiny green smear under my designer sandal. I'll laugh until they can hear me in New Jersey, until giant green tears leak from my eyes that are just mine, and I have to wipe them away with the sleeve of my giant green tunic, lowering my arm for just a second before raising again that item, that bag of pebbles. In my giant hand, boulders back up over the Atlantic Ocean, because maybe I can't enlighten the world, but I can sure as hell cast the stones that ripple and change it.
Went from Matt to Brandy, the most extreme mic change height of the night. Take it like that. Judges' scores are being collected. Now, something I should point out, our judges tonight were carefully chosen by just sort of looking at the prettiest people in the room and figuring they might actually know what's going on. Part of their job is to make sure that they remain consistent with themselves throughout the course of the evening. So whatever they've given these initial scores, we hope that they maintain those same standards and not fall prey to the dreaded score creep. I haven't seen Taylor Molly in the audience, but I'm assuming that that score creep is among the missing. So, see, only a few people in the room know what I mean, but now the word Taylor Molly will be forever associated creep with something. That works out. But that's not important now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next poet to the mic. Please welcome Mackenzie!
Open letter to the homeless man who called me a nigger after I refused to give him my cell phone. You still can't have the phone. But you can have the night. I hope it settles into your skin and your bones rebel against you. You can have my shoes. I'm sure they're too small and will push your toenails into themselves, making movement suicide. You know how to do this. Relish the pause after insult, words tethering legs like a ragged noose under an August moon. So let me walk barefoot. Feel the summer peel my skin, concrete and asphalt, gashing feet to make sure we still bleed the same. I know what it is to be hungry. But only fools make feasts of strangers, cleaning their teeth with one's history. And I have never seen such a fat-mouthed thing as you, full on a diet of burning crosses, cursing the wind for attention. I still remember the past caked on your lips. Of course we had our phones. The half-dead thing's secrets glowing in our pockets. I'm sorry I lied to you, but if you wanted to talk, you could have used a real voice, not one taken from forefathers. You, ignorance's pimp, catcalling in Jim Crow. You, a grave robber stealing crucifixes inside yourself. You, modeling hoods after dunce caps, cutting holes too small to see change. You are 3/5 of progress. So for your sake, I will hold my friend's fists, though your ways have more than earned our anger. I'm not sure there's anything left to give that you haven't already tried taking, so you can have this growing distance between us. Give it to your children. I hope it serves them well.
Judges, scribble, toil and tribble. That's not a Star Trek reference, I promise you. Slams happen everywhere. Slams happen in bars, they happen in coffee houses, they happen in the front rooms of radio stations. I'm aware of a slam that took place in a strip joint once. I think it had to do with poetry, but I'm not 100% sure. There was a poll, oh my God. Does that have to do with, never mind. Oh my God, stop me before I do something vulgar. Ladies and gentlemen.
Do something vulgar.
You don't want that. Nobody wants that. My girlfriend is here. She doesn't want that. So, please welcome to the mic our next poet, ladies and gentlemen. Give a hand to Alex.
Phoenix is a charming 2-year-old singing in the corner while her mother fixes dinner. Me, a visitor, a tourist with questionable talent, pondering the viability of making a living off of my poetry while snacking on their hospitality in Duluth, Minnesota. After a fall recital, a spirited medley consisting of classic preschool standards like Itsy Bitsy Spider, she begins a free-form jam ripping off the phrase, look at me. Look at me. Look at me, melody shifts and shivers through my day. Yo, that's what all art says, I say. Then laugh, uncomfortably, the way only adults can. Look at me. Look at me. There's no insistence, only an invitation. And man, if my biological clock didn't stop right there and jump rope skip a bit, so yeah, Worcester, I guess you could say I do want your attention. All artists who dare take the stage, we just tend to augment like, look at me, war is wrong. Look at me, the world's in desperate need of new love songs. Look at me, I saw an elderly woman eating alone once, and that made me want to cry. Look at me. Crazy. Look at me. Hey, I graduated from ugly. Look at me. Ayana, I dig jazz. The good kind. Look at me. I dig trenches. I'm not sure if they're the good kind, but my money helps put my baby through university. Look at me. Why do so few have that opportunity when an 18-year-old doctor from basically A, join the military, B, spend time in a penitentiary, or C, indentured servitude for a corporate monopoly? I say, look at me, because I am frantically searching for option D. Look at me. Your references are valid, poet, but I'd rather build a new mythology. Look at me. Fantasy is a construct that exists brilliantly to replace the beauty missing in reality. Look at me, community. Look at me. I remember that day at the zoo when I saw I was living in a cage too. Look at me in the ways I flunked out of being with you. Look at me, the rapture of your song. Look at me, the precise socioeconomic reasons why we all can't just get along. Look at me, I'm funny when I drink. Look at me, sobriety's worth it. Look at me, this stinks. I just wrote it, don't know what to make of it. Maybe you can find something worth salvaging. Look at me and my lovely flow. Look at me, I got 2 tickets to everywhere. What would you like to know? Look at me, this writer, painter, singer, brother, lover, mother, and or other never got their proper due. Look at me for the ones who saved my life. Look at me in my selfish use of this device. Look at me, cliche, cliche. How this Virgil got in there, cliche. Look at me, poetry. Create tomorrow's cliches today. Look at me, because that's what spoken word is. Look at me, I believe in it like God. Like I love it so much. I never dared define what either of them are. Look at me, the light at the end of the tunnel is not quite what they think it is. Look at me, for these few moments, I give you all express verbal permission to be all up in my business. Look at me, sometimes it's the words you leave out. Look at me, art is a force we all know something about. Look at me, because I saw some of the best minds of my generation destroyed by the sadness of not possessing the madness to follow through. Look at me, in this prayer I was blessed enough to receive from an angel. She was only 2.
Yeah.
The judges are busy writing. You know, I mentioned earlier that slams take place everywhere, but slams don't just take place in strip joints and bars. Ladies and gentlemen, slammers have actually performed in the White House. People we know have been in the White House and performed slam poetry. The largest, no, that is true.
And at the Olympics.
Very true. At the Olympics. 1 billion people watched Shane Koizan perform slam poetry.
Yeah.
A good friend of the Asylum. He's been to the Asylum. He's performed at the Asylum. He's slept on our couches and eaten us out of house and home. Am I wrong, ladies and gentlemen? I am not. He was seen at the opening ceremonies of the last Winter Olympics. If you saw that guy standing on a pedestal by himself, he's been here, ladies and gentlemen. He's a friend of ours. Judges, scores have been passed on. That means it's time for yet another poet. 4th poet in the first round. Please welcome Sarah!
It's 1957 and West Side Story is breaking Broadway's back. A performance a day in New York, 10 more on the eastern seaboard, and somewhere in New Jersey, my father is kicking. Shakespeare will become his favorite poet. West Side Story, his favorite cause. He will have an accidental family, cry at Romeo and Juliet, loathe Tybalt, and get old. 50 years later, and he has forbidden me from seeing you. He did not raise a Maria, he says, a Juliet. I am not an insolent child, an accidental fortune. Why can't I behave? He does not want me stabbed, he says. Poisoned, he says. In love across a continent. Where is my heart? He doesn't see our eyes touch like magnets, our fingers like fault lines in a quake. Oh, Tony, my father calls shark. Wrong boyfriend, wrong body, wrong byline. You have the wrong parts, he says, to be a boy. If he knew your family, that would be the reason. Your race, that would be the reason. But this is not West Side Story. You are not a shark, and the only jets I know are the ones I take to get to you across landlocked states that haven't seen sea life in a millennia. All my jets have wings, not guns. So I'm not lying when I tell him I will fly to you. He gives direction. Stage right, listen. Cross down left, behave. You give direction. Take the 5 north from the airport. James Street exit. Left on Yesler, left on 16th. Park in front. Come home. Oh, Romeo. Romeo, I know exactly where art thou. 3,000 miles away and fading with the sun, the moon, the 3-hour time difference and phone bills stacked in the corner. You are my fire escape, my balcony scene. My father becomes every ivy-covered wall ever put up to stop me. If only we were older, or different. If only my father eschewed remakes, longed for the real thing, for his own Juliet, his own getaway car to match, a dance scene in the distance, and a rose by any other name, calling him home, too.
Yeah!
Dave's running around collecting scores, getting those. Remember, we don't do this for the scores. As a poet from the earliest days of slam, Alan Wolf said, the points are not the point. Points, the poetry. We do this and we have an exciting format with scores and competition just to make sure that people are excited by what's going on and really looking to listen to the poetry and get people as excited about hearing it and as excited about performing it as we are when we write it. So that's what this is all about. And that's a good thing. And you know what else? Next up in the slam, please welcome Liz.
You want me to be a rocket while you condemn shrapnel. Want explosions hidden behind my eyes so your friends grappling the front lines won't see you are as much a soldier as the ones you stand against. But you don't remember what it's like loving one. I have had more family and friends affected by war than I'd care to think about. PTSD, hallucinations, nightmares, cousins missing in action for months. Did you know the sound of a heart breaking is louder than any gun blast you will hear? You want me to be a rocket, but standing inside someone else's silhouette won't save you. You want me to be a rocket. I can't be a rocket. I can't. I can't hold the hand of an already dead soldier. You want me to be a rocket. So you have a way to fly if the bombs get too close. Step back from your ground zero and look at the world you contend. You hide behind false memory, backlogging years of saluting. I have to wonder if your arms ever got tired of holding an honor they couldn't live up to. You remember what life was like in combat boots, but you claim it was all a game. Life is not a day spent walking in your father's oversized shoes. You want me to be a rocket. but I know you still pray at night. For the visions of blood and shells to clear out like a storm, this rampancy isn't something you can wish away. Open your eyes. You claim picket lines as family, but forget your brothers in arms. Didn't you know roots can still grow out of foxholes? Families can still survive under gunfire, but you ran away, afraid of everything you might lose. You have lost everything because your feet couldn't stand firm on the ground. You want me to be a rocket so you have a way to fly. When the bombs get too close, my darling, already dead soldier.
For Dave Multi-Lap McPherson, who's running around the room collecting those scores for us. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. We have 3 more poets in round 1. 3 more poets in round 1. Next up in round 1, please welcome Bill.
That's the bridge. My Grampy put the lights on that bridge. We are going to see Grampy, and that's the bridge he put the lights on, the Verrazano. But it's hard to see the lights in the daytime. So I sit back, watch New York rise out of the horizon, count the miles to Brooklyn. And she tells me stories of Grampy, coming from illegal early morning union meetings, climbing girders in suit and tie, not wasting time, changing. And the streets come alive. Graffiti sings of friends gone, in memory of, on handball courts and store sides. Too many, I think. Too many of them. And then Avenue Z, stone bricks, stained glass, child snow stealing, and 2 men argue in Russian. This is where he lives, she says. And then door buzz, blur of movement, and we are face to face, Morsha and me. Hi. And his apartment looks like a movie set. Plastic-covered couch, old wood, and he is shorter than I imagined. And he doesn't talk about bridges. He talks about life and death and love, and we should go eat, you two are busy. And there is a calmness about him. And the man who lighted the Verrazano sits with seltzer and talks about marriage. We only dated 3 months. They said it would never last. And it didn't. It only lasted 51 years. And he doesn't talk about bridges. He talks about missing her, and it was different then. And when we're alone, he says, you two are good together. Predicts that we will be happy. Reminds me that he only dated her for 3 months. They said it would never last, he says, and smiles and silently misses her. And I study his hands. I see them laying wires. I see them holding guidelines. I see them reaching out to gently brush her cheek. They said it would never last, he says, and I never met this woman. God, I miss her. And the light he is most proud of died 11 years ago, and he doesn't talk about the bridges. They said it would never last, he says, and smiles and winks, and I understand what he's saying to me. Leaving New York that evening, I can finally see the lights of the Verrazano, and I suddenly know that we will be okay. You see, we have Moisha's blessing, and the lights and the stars are beautiful tonight. He goes into hay, Granny. He goes into hay.
Dave is wearing a track in the floor. He has the same route that he travels every time. That's great. I love it. I love it. I'm just curious. I'm looking around the room. His faces I don't necessarily recognize. That could just mean I was drunk the last time we were here. Because I don't usually host up here. I'm usually sitting out there feeling morose. How many of you are here for the first time ever to the Asylum tonight? Get your hands up. Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You've arrived on a rather special meeting.
It's my sister's bat mitzvah.
Master's having one of his affairs.
Which one?
Before someone throws rice, let's welcome up the next poet. Please welcome Kim!
The 6 days she thought would break her. 1. They pulled her soiled from dirt piles. She called herself King of the Mountain. Her parents turned down their noses and called her tomboy. Placed in a pocket of pink lace, stuffed into ballet shoes she hated to turn out her toes. But she learned to throw a tantrum in perfect form. 2. The day mother coughed her way through daughter's recital. Something too strong to control grabbed mother's lungs and shook, stealing air while daughter danced stone-faced on stage. I hate you for getting sick, burned red on the back of her forehead. And then scared, she pushed it down and away. 3. The day a woman she used to call home was diagnosed cancer. And daughter searched for any answer why some people die without asking to. Never inhaling smoke once in her life, now condemned to die with lungs black, charred. 4. The day she stopped dancing because mother couldn't care to selfish standards, couldn't drag her sick body out of bed to drive daughter to recital, so she threw her ballet shoes over the back handle of her closet door, shut it, and locked it, never wanting to see them again, a fire rising up inside of her belly, slowly burning towards her favorite scarecrow. 5. The day she learned to dance with hips popped back, ass out like she'd see on TV, like this dancing is medicine for incurable, scoring scum at clubs, looking for someone who could love her like becoming family. And only finding that sleeping alone was more terrifying than her idea of dying. 6. When mother died, she tried to dance slow in their kitchen. Tried to feel her mother's hollow footprints beneath hers, but only found she still needed to tie ribbons up her legs to keep them from going soft like cookie dough. But looking back, she knows she was ready, knows it won't hurt her anymore, knows it won't break her. She can always dance slow in their kitchen, listen to the song of bare soles rubbing soft on linoleum floors, listen to the beat of cookie pans popping with heat in the oven, the soft click on, click off, click on, click off of stove lights. She will never forget their song. And she will dance again. And when she does, she will stand up tall and turn out her toes and dance like this. This is what mother made her for. To move like it means something.
Did you know we're recording this? We're actually making a recording of this evening.
Oh, we would have been funnier if we do that.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into ringtones. Lots and lots of different ringtones. The scores have been collected or finished being collected, which means it's time for the final poet of round 1. Are you ready for him? Give it up for Bobby.
A girl, 22, left to rot in a small pond. A boy, 18, accused in her death is found asphyxiated in his cell. Tell me, what were you thinking in the moments after? Were you picturing your mother as she drove away in that car and left you standing with us on that corner when we were 11? Did it happen how they said? Maybe I should have kicked your ass when you put the cat into the box and taped it shut and then set it on fire when we were 12. Maybe we should have recognized you needed help, but we were kids. We had our own issues to suppress, our own battles to wage. I still wonder, to this day, were you the strongest of us then, or are you just the weakest of us now? Who was with you as the limp carcass was deposited into University Park Pond? You know, they call it Dead Hooker Lake now. Talk about all the sunken bodies. Even though she was no streetwalker and the only one they ever found, tell me, who did it? Who was watching? Did the audience cheer as they often would or run as they always did? Sometimes I see them in the street and I want to pay them back for you. I want to teach them exactly how responsible they all were to that girl, to that family, to you. The police never got the real story. They usually don't care. I hear you had it rough in jail. Was that why you did it? Was it the notion of spending the rest of your days behind bars that made you decide? Tell me, what was the last thought that crossed your mind as the sheet you fashioned into a speedy trial and early parole past judgment? You were not my first friend to die, or my last to go to prison, but you were the most innocent, the most vicious. I hear people talk about you. I don't listen when they say you deserved it. I didn't hug your mother at your funeral, nor did I shake your father's hand. It was all I could think to do for you. You were my friend. And maybe it's true. Maybe you did turn into some sick, distorted amalgam of child and beast, but I refuse to remember you this way. We will always be swimming in Coe's Pond, splashing the girls. We will always be in the 6th grade, snorting crushed candy and terrorizing the substitute. I promise never to think you monster. I promise to always remember your face.
That brings us to the close of round 1. How we all doing? Judges, you feeling good? Feeling sweaty? Feeling excited? Feeling my nipples are hard myself. I can't speak for you.
Yeah!
What? I can sing that. Order for the second round is as follows. Poets, listen up. Make sure you've got it, because I'm only going to do it this one time. Round 2 will be Liz, Bill, Kim, Bobby, Brandy, Mackenzie, Alex, and Sarah. Got it?
Yep.
Yes.
Good enough. Deep cleansing breath, everybody. Welcome to round 2, and please welcome to the stage, Liz.
This is an anthem. This is a prayer. This is a battle cry for the destitute, the downhearted, the weak, the meek, the depressed. This is for the sick, the destructive, the unwell. This is for us. You see, every day, Freddie woke up, looked in the mirror, and said, "My name is Rockstar, and I am going into battle. My enemy is AIDS." And yes, he died. But do not look at his scars and say that he was losing, because every day he woke up and said, "My name is Rockstar, and I will be singing on the other side, and I will not let this battle define my life." And for that, he won. You see, every day, my best friend's mother woke up, looked in the mirror, and said, "My name is Legacy, and I am going into battle. My enemy is cancer." And yes, she died, but do not look at her scars and bald head and say that she was losing, because every day she woke up and said, "My name is Legacy that will be burned and carried on my children's fingertips, and I will not let this battle define my life." And for that, she won. You see, every day I wake up, look in the mirror, and say, my name doesn't matter. And I'm going into battle. My enemy is self-loathing, and yes, my skin may be dying, but do not look at my scars and say that I am losing, because every day I wake up and say, my name is insignificant, but I will still shout it into the stars, and I will not let this battle define my life. And for that, I'm winning. You see, the body is simply the container of the content. It is the content that defines you. That is my anthem. That is my prayer. That is my battle cry. This is for the AIDS afflicted, the cancer ridden, the self-loathers. This is for anyone who wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror and says, my name is my own, and I may not like what I see, but I will still adorn my armor and go into battle, and I will not let this battle define my life. And for that, we are all winning.
We have conferred and we have decided to release partial scores to you, just to get you going, just to make you feel better about where the progress of the evening is. Are you all ready? In the third quarter, Knicks 53, Celtics 41.
Come on, son.
We know what you're worried about. Scores have been collected, which means it's time to move on. Please welcome to the stage, Bill!
The taste of your lips reminds me of February, and I don't think I'll be hating winter this year with you sitting warm next to me, and I suddenly find myself looking forward to snowstorms. The ache in my back and the click in my ribs is because I'm standing taller now, and my body got used to slouching. Not used to feeling proud, but you make me feel proud. Make me feel beautiful when you call me beautiful, and I could almost believe it's true. Everything happens so fast. Caught both of us off guard, and I'm not the kind of person who drops everything and drives 1,300 miles in the middle of the night, day, night, to go pick up someone I've only known for a few months and bring them back and start a whole new future. Well, haha, I guess I am now. Didn't know I was unhappy till you made me happy. Can't believe I missed out on this for so long. They say you have to know pain to know pleasure, and old Pain and me, we go way back. Kind of kin in a way. But pleasure's a hard one to get to know, and I find myself looking over my shoulder to make sure I'm not bleeding. And you take the time to rub my back with both hands, just to prove you're not holding anything. And I want to go out and find everyone who ever hurt you and ask them how they could harm a goddess such as yourself. And then kill them. I'm not used to safety, but it's my home now, I guess. Already moved my things in. Had to leave a lot of baggage behind, but it was getting too heavy to carry. Just wouldn't belong here. The sun will be up soon, and I'll get to share it with you. And I thank God for you and for saving me from myself. And I believe in miracles because I've seen the sunrise in your eyes. Amen.
Dave does the score sprint. It's the opposite of the score creep. What can I say? You know, it's so weird because you're used to like judges, scores, and boards going up in the air. You make a whole production reading the scores. This thing moves like lightning. Is the suspense building out there? Are you wondering what's going on? Or are you just sitting back and enjoying the poetry? Since nobody's actually saying anything, we're going to move on to the next person. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim!
Our town is surrounded on all sides by wheat, swaying like a drunk on unstable feet, dizzy. We'll call it an island. In our town, there is a box where we will keep the smiles of everyone we've lost. The woman who keeps this box has wings of dove and hair of yarn and face of mother. For the rest of us, the ones who don't know how but who are still here, she will stitch us up piece by piece into blankets, trying to keep us whole. When he and I were younger, she made us the centerpieces. She took our broke-down graveyards of losses and fears and turned them into something to rid the cold from our bones. She took my hands, stuck with shards of glass from windshield, stitched them in with his broken vertebrae, ruptured spleen, our cracked ribs, concussions, the overdose. She borders us with the people we are brave enough to care about. Kidneys, cancer cells, blackouts, hospital. She asks us why we keep coming so close to dying, and we tell her that this is the only way we know how to live, by running at death, head on, no stop, show no fear. We were born with springboard shoes, learning how to get back up when we get knocked down. Do you understand the comfort of 100 lungs breathing in and out as one? To understand the pain of one of us dying and a part of us all gone frostbite, never to be touched again. She will tell us that this is no way to live. But what she'll never admit is when she stitches us up piece by piece, she uses a dirty needle, hoping to slip, to get stuck, to be afraid and to have to face it head on.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, kid.
Another partial score for you. Blue Jays 4. Next up in the slam, halfway through round 2, please welcome up Bobby!
In every right triangle, the sum of the squares of the adjacent sides equals the square of the hypotenuse. An object in motion will tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. They call him slow because he has an IQ of 73, borderline, housed in one room from 7 a.m. until 2:30 with withered root-bound tenure, but he knows things, realizes the importance of breath, loves his mother, understands pipe dreams burn black from constant lighter, ash, and the sizzle of lost innocence when cold steel in warm palm is heated by slide and combustion after sinew twitch and finger squeeze. He only knows spark, then smoke, then blood. He is hungry now. Spends his time with simple addition, devouring. He's a champion, gold medallion, center-chested, shining in the sun. No grasp of long division, but understanding perfectly that a razor blade and a box of flat-top sandwich bags can help turn 50 into 100. A few new rags, maybe a bite to eat. They call him criminal, call this slow boy a stupid man when he, 45 caliber handed, temporarily trades his freedom for $76, 2 boxes of cereal, and a gallon of milk. Objects in motion, closing doors, gray steel. 60 times 30 days of wake up and sunshine, same street, same time, not 1 second older. This hypotenuse, missing the sum of 2 squared adjacent sides, doesn't equal up. Somehow, the math is always off. Now he, soft outside force, tears at pockets of unsuspecting object in motion. Action, equal and opposite reaction. 9mm hot object closing distance. In any right triangle, the sum, the squares, the adjacent sides, too many variables, not enough information to solve this equation. Now he, this soft outside force torn into by hot object in motion, crimson liquid poured to the earth by gravity. No numbers, no theories matter anymore. But he knows things, understands the importance of breath, loves his mother, and now, just another in a finite set of souls marked for deletion.
Huh.
That is Bobby, ladies and gentlemen. We are halfway through this sucker. Halfway through this sucker. You are the most attractive audience I have seen in freaking ages. And you should all give yourselves a big hug right now. Go ahead, do it. Hey, watch the hands. My God.
You should do this drunk more often.
This is sober, dude. You ought to see me drunk. That's even worse. I just become morose and like complain. And as if to emphasize the drunkenness, next up, Brandy.
You were both struggling to shoulder the weight of the word divorce. The diamond noose around my ring finger traded for a diamond-shaped window at the crook in the stairs of this strange new apartment that would never be home. We ate dinner in silence, listened to an angry marriage in the apartment downstairs outlive its purpose, outlast ours. A heated debate over who left the coffee creamer out on the kitchen table. It's been 2,391 days since the pounding on our front door made me the bridge between you both. You, asleep on the futon, where you'd come to me like all quiet questions, on small feet, and with a seed of truth growing like a watermelon inside your empty stomach, and you, asleep in the only bedroom, dreaming with a man's heart and a boy's determination, tucked like a safe wish into the plaster fold of the slanted wall. It's been 2,391 days since my feet were defiant pilgrims, since my voice opened into the key that unlocked your safe places and called you both to my side. The nightmare promise in my breath sent us together downstairs, hands held past the diamond-shaped window that didn't have flames licking past it. Yet, yes, honey, there was a thunderstorm that night. And I know you remember that more clearly than anything else, but I know how those memories tangled together. I watched for years how the sound of thunder threw wilderness into your eyes as your body responded to a memory it couldn't let you keep. And sweetheart, later, when the fire was out, I'm sorry I wouldn't let you back into the apartment with me. But when the fire chief took me upstairs past what looked like the diamond-shaped window that had been our favorite place in this apartment we could have made home, I was staring through the missing floor into our downstairs neighbor's kitchen and numbly wondering where the carton of creamer had been. When he told me that the fire had been inside the slanted wall, behind where you'd been sleeping, like a zodiac dragon stealing stars into blackness, I forgot what it felt like to be human for 1 second. Maybe seeing that would have helped to heal you. Maybe children have less fear, but maybe my fear was a country. I'm sorry. It's been 2,391 days, and I know the details are smoky, but my babies, please. If you remember nothing else, please remember that I stood halfway between you both and would not move without you. That my love for you can't be divided or measured or broken or burned. That your strength will always let you put one foot in front of the other and lead you to safety. That you will always know home.
That's Brandy, ladies and gentlemen. If I was stuck on a desert island and somebody asked me, what one book would you want to take with you? It would be a book on how to build a seaworthy vessel from stuff you find on a desert island. If you think about it, that's very much what poetry is too. Ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
We know.
Unlike the next person to the stage, please welcome Mackenzie.
they struck the first piece of iron into your wrist, you reached out for the hands of God. Though God is omniscient, he wouldn't have descended from heaven to stop such a prophecy. You must have forgotten this. We all wrote of how you died. Your body was bound in all directions while the sun beat on your chest like drums. Your arms played with Eurus and Zephyr as your feet looked downward. Priest of dying ways wanted you silenced, so they made you royalty. They gleefully donned you with a thorn-filled crown, making you the king of their heretics. In truth, you're the archetype of purity. Your blood was the innocence needed to heal this dying world, so you let them spill it. You were the only sun, and as expected, you shined incredibly bright. You were the Messiah, the chosen one. Those loyal to you named you perfection, but your life was the opposing force to perfect. I remember when I last saw you. I gave you a cold kiss, which left an imprint of misfortune. This led the pawns of ecclesiastic kings to arrest you. You were outnumbered in this game of chess, but you already knew that. You told us about it during our last supper. An ambiguous crowd of believers watched you leave this mortal plane. There were people with death-loving grins on their faces, waiting for the end of this false prophet. There were your followers, hoping their newly discovered God would help you, and then there was me. Shame had wrapped around my neck and left me swinging. This madness was my fault, so I chose death as my punishment. Christ, you were not deserving of such a fate. It should have been me. Not you. I should have been the one wrist-nailed with sin, bleeding guilt on unforgiving sands. Instead, I chose to leave this flesh that I once called my own. Now I watch 11 other men ride down the path called history as they brand me with the mark traitor. Their truths spill onto papyrus, becoming immortalized. Their muddled perceptions have left my legacy tainted. You can wipe away the ink, but this roll is already scorched into my skin. They say while you tried for peace, I let silver coins dance around my thoughts. Their stories claim that the devil entered me, filled my veins with fire, and burned my morals away, leaving only greed. I watch the folly of grown men and cry silver tears. I am not golden enough to retaliate against such child-hearted ones. This is what has become of me. Like the destruction of great monuments, faith in my name is tragic. People once proudly called me Judas, but now they only hope that I asked for forgiveness. And I did. In the name of the Father, and of the Son.
We can be, ladies and gentlemen. If you like the drama of poetic competition, this is the Slam finals and semifinal season. I just checked with Megan Thelma at the back of the room. Providence semifinals are Tuesday night down at AS220. Of course, she'll be at my Duendo Project feature, but that's a different story entirely. But that's done. You go down to AS220 and watch the bloodshed. Watch the bloodshed. It'll be great. Nothing like bloodshed. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Please welcome to the stage, Alex!
This is dedicated to all those clever corporations who figured out a way not to pay their taxes this year. On behalf of all the people who work too hard for too little, even though I don't have the right to, I do observe things, and I do cash a lot of checks. Their checks. Minus my boss's 2% fee, of course, because my aunt, who is the owner, has got more mouths to feed than moments to mention. Our professional relationship is somewhat serendipitous. She only trusts her family to work alongside obscene amounts of currency. I didn't have to wear a suit to the interview. My mom's first cousin is a chain-smoking cyclone addicted to 85% dark cacao chocolate bars and stress. She was once a full-ride scholarship to MIT. But her dad said no. Back then, immigrant patriarch didn't really need to provide a follow-up reason, so there's no point in asking for one. Her older brother escaped into a 20-year heroin addiction, but she found sanctuary in true love. Kind that works for living. Kind that still interrupts my day up to 10 times per shift with periodic check-in chats that, oh my God, would probably get your cell phone confiscated. Her father's Alzheimer's condition now haunts the house she grew up in, but she has her own definition of a daughter's duty. The nurse aide she deploys to his house from the other business she runs provides him with everything he needs, plus the dark chocolate bars he wants. Nobody knows if he needs or wants her forgiveness. 2 businesses, 4 kids, 3 college tuitions, full-time care for her youngest with autism, and an accountant who's just too damn honest. If you want her opinion, it's hard to say when the bow is gonna break, so I spend long days plugging my fingers into the cracks at the bottom of bulletproof glass, ATMing 20s into the hands of those who've earned far more than our expanding income gap is willing to recognize, pockets full of broken penny promises from a world that told us that if you work hard, everything else should just work itself out. Sometimes I have to laugh or use humor to deflect my own discomfort born from privilege. Sometimes I tell my customers that the bulletproof glass is really for their protection. Sometimes I say, okay, that's $268.39, or you can have what's in the box. And as much as I try to dream outside it, as much as I'd like to jump off this merry-go-round, roller coasting too many of us into the ground, as much as I want a gallant knight in bright, shining progressive arm to come and save us from this income inequality, light a fuse to the word poverty, watch it explode, the fiery fragments regroup into the form of a warm community, as much as I want them to take stock instead of lottery, as much as I want to do more than just cash their checks, as much as I want us all to dream of something better and perhaps take a chance in making it so they always take the cash. And honestly, who could ever blame them?
Penultimate poet. Last poet in this round, ladies and gentlemen. Last poet in this round. Then we'll do a little business and we'll come back for round 3, the final round. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, closing out round 2, Sarah.
The evolution of a word. Changeling, halfwit, cretin, imbecile, idiot, moron, retard. Words then socially acceptable, susceptible to present-day use. Let me warn you now, in case you get queasy. This poem contains dead babies, viewpoints, and the possible indictment of most of you in this room. Take a moment if you need one now and leave. I hate to make people uncomfortable. I'm always willing to seek clarification, ask you if that's really what you mean. You mean your friend, mother, lover is retarded? She's functioning with an IQ of 74 or under? That her behavior is characterized by significant limitations both in intellectual functioning and in practical adaptive skills? Her disability originated before age 18? Wow. Well, then you can ignore the rest of this. Retarded doesn't mean stunted anymore. In playgrounds across the country, we're using retard in conjunction with faggot, teaching our kids it's wrong to be gay and it's wrong to have a speech impediment, learning disability. Bad day. My father's own personal hell, the Peter Sapienza wing of circle number 5 is the ICU in Philadelphia's Children's Hospital. One of the best in the country, equipped with special elevators to take dead babies away, special task forces to clean out the families. Ignore the fact that my brother has had 4 open heart surgeries to correct an unfathomable mistake. How many have you had? Never mind the fact that he had a 40% chance of making it to 10. He's mastered 15 and is constantly regaled with retard, retard. Why are you so dumb? Can't read, can't run. Often from my own sister. She can't know she screams treason in her own house, in her own school, and people don't understand why I turn red when I hear the R word. See, families who can't cope because we don't let them. Children fall because we push them. I'm not getting into special ed for my good looks. I'm sick of being told that I'm a saint when I profess the desire for change. I propose a revival of revision, starting with a thought. Use your words to tell me what you mean. You don't actually think that this shirt looks retarded on me, do you? What does retarded look like? Like that boy with ADD, he can't concentrate. Like that girl with CP, she can't walk straight. Understand the acronyms and inform yourself of your intentions. A speech impediment does not make for a learning disability. A wheelchair does not make for oblivion. Me smoking doesn't make me a retard. It makes me stupid and careless. This shirt isn't retarded, it's dirty. Pick up a thesaurus and educate yourself. Understand that change starts with you.
That concludes round 2. Before we start round 3, a couple of little bits of business we want to conduct. Remember that we do this here every Sunday night. Next week on this stage, Simone Beaubien will be here all the way from Y'all having fun? Let's check your responses, shall we? When I say call, you say response. Call!
Response!
Call!
Response!
When I say poetry, you say rocks. Poetry!
Rocks!
Call.
Poetry! Man, a little ragged, but I trust you that you're into it for the last round. Dave's going to walk amongst you one more time with a bucket. If any of you feel the need to contribute a little bit more to the cause, please do so. Please do so. And we have a surprise for you. We have a surprise. We have a surprise. Are you ready for the surprise? We're going to reveal a little something about the nature of the scoring so far. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, Bob.
Yes, Tony.
How many points separate the highest point poet from the lowest point poet?
4.7.
It is 4.7. Now let me tell you something. That sounds, to slammers, that sounds like a big distance, but I have watched it disappear. All you need is a time penalty, someone to do something on stage, something to happen, and that thing can disappear. And it also doesn't tell you where people fall, because don't remember, the top 4 poets are going to be the slam team. So we know nothing at this point other than the fact it's been a fairly tight race so far.
Hey,
but
Tony?
What?
Guess how many points separate the top 7 poets?
How many points separate the top 7 poets, Bob?
1.2.
So it's anybody's game as to who's going to be on the team. Problem is, you don't know who anybody is, but you know who they all are. Give it up for the folks you've heard so far tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The order for round 3 is as follows. Bobby, Kim, Bill, Liz, Sarah, Alex, Mackenzie, and Brandy. And with that announcement, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. Round 3. Please welcome to the stage, Bobby!
Open letter to hip-hop.
Yeah.
Mother, you are not dead. The milk in your breast has yet to curdle. We still find it sweet, still greedily drink you into our existence every time we think no one is watching, even if we do keep you in the closet, on the down low. Father, I am not ashamed of you. I will not disown you for your shortcomings or become angered if you too become tired, worn out, paper thin. It happens to the best of us. We all get drained, become burdened down by the effort we put forth trying to shine bright enough to hide our dull points. Sister, when they see you and speak to you, see past the anger, see past the hurt. Please forgive their disgusting tongues. Forgive when they lash out at the closest ones. You are the best of us. You are the wind, the water, the earth. Without you, there can be no root. And given time, the hard shell of seed will crack. And what will grow is stronger than any grudge or scar or lingering anger. Brother, you are not savage, nor animal, or incapable of incapable of rising above how we came up. You are the sun. You are the shine. You are the twinkle that sits in the little holes of boys' and girls' eyes as they find sparkle in rhythm. You are the anger of 400 million chained intellects gaining education. You are bling, shiny things, credibility, and clout. You are the gunshot that rings out, ripping through the quiet night air. You are in the crosshairs. You are always going to stay one step ahead of death. You are breath. You are alive. So breathe. Sincerely, Robert Blackwell Gibbs.
Robert Blackwell Gibbs, ladies and gentlemen.
What's a tall man?
Man with intensity who tightens the scores are being collected, which means we are ready to move on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to keep the same level of intensity that you've had all night as we bring each of these poets up, because this is the home stretch. This is the time when they need to get the love from the crowd and do the best that they possibly can. Next up, please welcome Kim.
What you leave behind.
Thank you.
You were this drunk diner parking lot, spinning wildly on its axis, bouncing street lamp illumination off the dusted glass of shattered 40s, littering your overgrown corners. With your license plate collection kicking up with the wind, breaking rhythm around the steel fences surrounding. Stamped with the states that your spare parts once called home, South Carolina, Maine, New York, Massachusetts, all rattling to the radio of the Cadillac. And I know you were fresh flint once. Fist kissing and steel toes scraping off sidewalk cement or the bottom of a bruised up boxcar, but no matter how far away you went, you still called us home, spoke these streets into the soles of your feet, and stuck out your thumb with a smile, because the next town wasn't too far away, and your legs never really got tired anymore. But when the parts of you started their simultaneous shutdown, they tried to build you more machine. Computerized sheets drawing out heartbeats, you stalled. We choked up the clutch and waited, a family of rusty engines revving, waking, shaking the stale air from our pipes, prepared to ride through this town, carry you home in the driver's side bucket seat, lean back low so you could keep resting your eyes. But when your mind drifted off further than dreaming, we burnt rubber and scraped our raw rims off this potholed pavement, shooting fireworks for the celebration that you always were, tearing ourselves out of alignment as we screamed blurry memories of the bodies we felt safest holding. So tonight, no one is scrapped into spare pieces, because the way we carry our parts can never be duplicated. Kick back exhaust, but we will never stop turning your mileage. We will keep each other awake and running long after our own frames rot out. And when we decide that the lots must empty, we will leave behind nothing but spilt oil and scattered dust.
As Tim. Scores get pulled. Judges, you having a good time? Woo! That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I have no idea whether all of the judges hooted or not, but you know, such is life. The judges and their hooters.
Oh, Tony.
Do you realize how hard it is to fill time when there's so little time to fill? You know, I can ramble when scores are going up in the air. Like nobody, we don't give a shit. Next up, please welcome Bill!
He was on the TV.
Grainy scrapbook photo. He is 10, smiling, first guitar resting in his all too eager hands. Pictures of youth, images frozen in time, and hold on to your seats, because here comes another nostalgia poem. Yeah, I know, I can't help myself. There's something comforting about dredging up the past, picking at my mental scabs. Mom says, if you don't stop picking at it, it won't heal. Well, you know that it will heal. But picking at it will cause it to scar, leave a white line reminder lest we forget that we were hurt. If we had it to do over again, we'd do the exact same thing. If we had it to do over again, we'd screw up something else. If we had it to do over again, it was really easy to say because we know we can and therefore it requires no real effort. But this is a nostalgia poem, so I should be telling you about Brian killing himself at 18, Nancy beaten to death at 24, Crunch dead in the bathroom, DH just not here. We should be reveling in life's mysteries, the suicides and murders, overdoses and disappearances, because we remember the martyrs to memory, and there's no room in this poem for the mundane. The tragic musician shooting himself is so much cooler than the ordinary person living an average life, dying in a common way, and not even the goddess of possibilities is going to bother to send flowers. The muse yawns, scans the city skyline, watches planes flying low overhead, reaches for a collection plate. We remember the martyrs to memory because we fear passing unnoticed. But we're coming up to the end of the nostalgia poem where we should be reflecting on life's lessons and pulling at the heartstrings of regret. But the reality is, everyone here has a story to tell. Most of us have no one who will sit and listen. The reality is, we will live ordinary lives. Find one moment of importance to relive when life's winds blow cold, pass quietly into someone else's memory, and that will be it. No monuments, no great elegies, just a funeral bill and a perpetual care agreement with the cemetery. This isn't a passion plea, a cry for sympathy. This is just the reality. And for just about everybody I know, that's tragedy enough.
Bob and I have been conferring as to how to announce everything at the end of the night. We're still working on it. Still working on it.
So that's whether the Celtics win or not.
Oh, we'll check our nets. We'll check. Oh, 53 to 41. I was not pleased. Not pleased. Let's bring it up to the halfway point of round 3. Please welcome Liz, ladies and gentlemen.
As a woman of size, and by that I mean fluffy, there is one thing in the world that I can't pretend to not love anymore. Food. I love food. And there is one place where I can get 24 hours of continuous food, more food! Dear Food Network, I love you! Most of the time, there are a few things that I cannot forgive. Dear Guy Fieri, you are trying too hard to be a badass. I get it, you want to be the cool guy, spiky blonde hair, tattoos, piercings, sunglasses on the back of your head. But believe it or not every food in the world has to be money. And where exactly is Flavortown? Because you roll into it every other episode. You are trying too hard, but I've seen you in interviews. You're personable, nice, funny, even. So where is the real you, Guy Fieri, if that is your real name? You were born in Ohio, you're now in California. You have to be cool, so be cool. Be yourself. You'll be cool. It's okay. Dear Ina Garten, you are not fooling anyone with your fake smile and your scripted laugh. You always laugh last in the show because you want your voice to be the last thing your viewers hear. You used to be a political activist. You worked in the White House. You have an MBA. And you gave all that up because somebody liked your food. Now you're on network TV. Wear something other than a button-down black shirt with the cuffs rolled up so you don't get it in the dough that you had just freshly prepared for the frittata tart cake pie thingy. What exactly do you cook? Are you making up words? I think you're making up words. But is this the life that your husband had in mind when he asked you to marry him? Is this what the Hamptons do to people? Cocktail parties every other night. And you invent a new recipe for every single freaking one of them. Dear Anna Garten, just be yourself. I know you're in there under that Stepford wife. Just be yourself. It's okay. Dear Rachel Ray. Yummo, I can get over. But say it with me. Extra virgin olive oil. EVOO spells Evu, the name of a restaurant in Boston that's been in business for far longer than you've been cooking. So how come you got the credit and not them? Did you go there? I've been there. It's good food. You, on the other hand, create taco, hot dog, macaroni night. What? Do you know how to cook? Do you look in the freezer and say, that'll work? I don't know. But you can be yourself. Cook the things you like, not the things you think your friends' kids will like. Be yourself. It's okay. Dear Food Network, thank you for showing me how to be my big, fat, fluffy, food-loving self. I like being myself, and I would be myself, even if I were on 24 continuous hours of food, food, and more food. Dear Food Network, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go eat.
We feel the tension building.
Oh, yeah.
As we're starting to wonder about who those poets are going to be who are going to go represent us in Boston this year. I know I'm excited. Partially because I don't have to fly to it. I don't want to go. I could just try. I could fly. Really, I could.
Take the
Ladies
train.
and gentlemen, next up, in the last round of the slam, please welcome Sarah!
The truth needs no defense. Eugene Cernan. It has been exactly 60 days since anything meant what his mouth might mean. It has been 13,931 days since he walked the only surface capable of loving him again. Eugene Andrew Cernan was born 238,857 miles from where he would eventually land. He was an expert in distance, in shock, in breathing the space between a force that would hold him and a force that would let him fly. He was an expert in being alone. Gene Cernan was not as flashy as his counterparts, who would later punch reporters in the face for lying, who would smash their livers and beat their lovers for not understanding the eclipse of their arms. In the 70s, he was a balding man, blue eyes and bashful fingers, used to pushing buttons, but not walking without gravity. He was the last man on the moon. Dear last man, I do not know how to hold his hand, how to shape his name into something that isn't a blessing. Last man, you have been to the moon. You have been this cold. You are the only one who can help me, the only one who can still remember the silences of space, of distance, of breathing on your own, so far away from home. Last man, are you exhausted from being held by a force that does nothing but knock you down, from staring at your feet, planted in a southern soil that will not spit you out no matter how high you jump, from being unremembered? I remember Eugene, like I remember his face, all lunar, pockmarked, canyoned, and while I have never seen him cry, I know the moon has water. There is always hope. Last man. Last man.
Shit.
Conspiracy theories hold that you are a fake and a liar. Friends claim I am crazy. There are people who think we are crazy, Jean. People who wish to criticize the living for living. You are living somewhere in Florida, and I am living half awake in the north. There is not another one to come after. You are the last, not the last until I believe he is my last, not my last until. So I am writing you, even though it is easier to believe in the beginnings, the middles, the flash and the punch and the heavy feet. We all know Aldrin, Armstrong, but it is the last that will take us to where we will end. Thank you.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. 3 more poets. We will know all after 3 more poets, the first of whom will be. Give it up for Alex!
I just clipped these coupons yesterday. How can they be expired? It's one of those days at Price Chopper. A glossy magazine responds something about my favorite celebrity couple filing for divorce, and I get kind of bummed out. Disillusioned. I mean, they didn't even realize they were having problems. A little can of frozen orange juice starts telling me to concentrate or something like that, but I can't because it's cold in the dairy aisle and I'm still wet from the unforecasted shower storm that took me by surprise in the produce department. But finally, I get outside. I take a nice day deep breath and smile and see outside I am free to just walk down that street in my new car. There's a fine line between poetry and therapy, folks, and I admit I salsa dance over that shit like a silly tourist stopping between the border of 2 states to take pictures. Look at me, Ma! I'm in poetry! Oh man, now I'm in therapy. And if you think about it, owning a new car is not unlike a mental state, and I must be really greedy, because I want that feeling with no money down, no cosigner, no monthly payments. You don't even need seatbelts when accidents don't exist, right? Walking down that street in my new car. That's the a couple bars of this song that I wrote myself. It's an introspective tune. You know, the kind they slap at the end of movies when our hero is sitting on a bus or a train thinking about all the crazy things that have happened, some sort of memory montage when, bam, recognition hits. The ultimate kind, the kind that when put into action, triumphs over adversity and allows us all to leave the theater with the warm little fuzzies. Walking, easy, power steering in my thoughts, tinted sunglasses, all leather attitude, and a host of snazzy options. You see, I don't want to be a wannabe. This makes me a try to be, and well, sometimes that's enough for the me that I need to be. Walk that walk home from school on last day of class before summer vacation starts. Walk that walk to the bank after you've earned your first paycheck. Walk that walk with that special someone who's not necessarily like you, but thinks. Maybe not like you think, but thinks and talks and walks and has a new car in their head too and will do all the things you've ever even thought about doing or seeing. It's there. It's all there. All you have to do is decide, and it flows from there. If you don't believe me, then I don't know if you're listening. I'm driving right now. Forget the car. You don't like going alone? I highly suggest you get over it. Get a pet or get busy dying, because those of us who are living could use the space and the air. And the big comfy chairs with the sofas that double as love seats. The fact is I'm doubling down on love for myself, for my tribe, and for the best friend who I've yet to meet. Walk down that street in your new car. It'll be easy because it's supposed to be.
How's Alex, ladies and gentlemen? Keep that applause going. As the scores are collected and we prepare for the last 2 poets in the last round. Give it up and keep it going for McKinley!
Fuck it, you should.
Yay!
Elegy of the Aftermath for Haiti. In the remains of Port-au-Prince, there is a girl with an extension of a smile, a wound fissured across her left cheek. Every day she watches men on TV who expect her to define the term natural disaster through a cavern full of blood. And somewhere my sister and I are discussing language. How the crayon on my tongue tires of flopping. We count the scales of dried words, and I try to explain why I like hip-hop more than zouk. No one talks about my grandfather living with us. The night-terror ghosts he's become, why debris rests between the valleys of his wrinkled skin. The other day, Pat Robertson said the Haitians deserve to have their homes destroyed. That when we were young, we danced with the devil and that death was our punishment. All my friends were outraged, but I laughed, wondered if Pat had ever learned anything from his father. It is hard to hate the devil when he has taught you how to fish. When the earth's backbone shivered, the Caribbean was a pot of bubbling water and the people hemlock. No one asked to be born with poverty's poison wet on their skin, like no one asks to be born choking on golden spoons. For those not living with extensions of smiles, I understand the alchemy of your criticism, though fool's words it may make. But for men serving up their perception of disaster on the plate of the first world, prior to making your meal, consider the catch. Why it stares at you like a child. Understand that at some point, we choose to be more net or hook, so forgive the steel finger in her jaw. There was metal in her mouth long before she could speak.
Bright lights are dazzling me, much as all the poetry tonight has dazzled me, and I hope it has dazzled you as well. We've got one more poet to hear from, and then we'll be doing the mathematicals and the announce-a-caticals to get us all. You like the announce-a-caticals? Isn't that good? Ladies and gentlemen, closing out round 3. Please welcome Brandy!
You're gonna fall in love with me. If mental illness runs in your family. You'll call me all the time. If you're the kind of guy who collects identities and swords. You'll probably even want to marry me. But this time, don't tell me it's because you think we're destined to birth the son who will lead the believers to salvation at the apocalypse. That's more of a second date conversation. You will tell me I am irresistibly attractive. And in a way, you'll be right. I don't know what kind of material I'm made from, but I am a freak magnet. When I enter a room, the compass needle of every freak inside points to my magnetic north. Briefly, myself. The electrons stand at attention and they creep closer, closer. Once my magnetism was so strong, I sucked the cell phone right from some freak's hand before he even finished saying, "Put your number in there, I'm going to get a drink." I was thirsty. Being a freak magnet is hard work. I've been flagged down on highways and had my hair braided in the middle of the sidewalk. I've deflected text messages that start off with, "Oh yeah, Stardust Galaxy Glider," and I've danced with Sweater Vest Guy. You've seen them. Those are just the harmless ones. I can't dodge them all. When they get too close, physics takes over, or maybe it's chemistry. Their open arms invite me into their magnetic field. Their hands stroke the static from my hair until my charge is gone, until I cling to their steel ribcage like the magnetic bird I'm about to become. By the time the cage door locks, their words cut like knives, and I don't stick to knives. Their cold hearts pump Freon through their veins, but I only stick to refrigerators if there's ice cream inside. And although the coldest one did once spoon-feed me my favorite flavor, I have to believe I was already stuck by then, or I wouldn't have eaten from his hand. I try to pray to demagnetize this heart so I can slide to the floor and crawl away. slip under your steel exterior with the dusty refrigerator letters because I'd rather be forgotten than made to spell these plastic words that amuse you and hurt me. I try to pray, to stick to someone who knows I have a breaking point but doesn't try to find it, who understands that magnetism is a force that's mysterious from both ends. I try to pray, to use this force to hold up something I can be proud of. I try to pray, but my hands won't touch.
I was brand new and I was the end. What that means is I can put the stopwatch away. What that means is all we have left is the announcement of who done what tonight. I want to talk about a couple of people who did do indeed what tonight. First off, I'd like to give it up for Dr. Chris, who was back there in the back. I want to give it up for Bob Gill, who's over there crunching the numbers. I want to thank Dave McPherson for losing 5 pounds while handling the judging and running. I want to thank all of our judges. I want to thank Gary, Christina, Jenner, Kirk, and Rackle for judging. I think we all need to give a big thank you to all of you for being here.
We love you, Bob!
And I think we now have to thank 8 people who got up on this stage and did all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm going to ask all the poets to come to the stage and stand. Shout them all. Come on, all of you. All right, in my hand, I have the listing.
Can you identify the suspect, Ben?
It's Colonel Mustard.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm actually going to step off to the side so you can.
Why do you want them to see us react?
Because first of all, I think before I announce the scores, when we say the points are not the point is the poetry. I think we need to really acknowledge that. So what I'd like you all to do, if you will, stand up and give these guys a round of applause. Hey, Bob, are you here? Yes. So I just want to double check. The high score is on top and the low score is on the bottom? Yes? Okay, I just want to double check. All right. Because he didn't include the numbers.
Oh.
He didn't include the numbers, he just listed. So 3 of these poets are not going to go. The way this works is we identify 4 people as a team. They are the team who will be competing on your behalf in Boston in August at Nationals. 1 poet will be the alternate. The alternate is the poet who will be there to fulfill the duties if something happens. They usually also are deeply involved in coaching. Tell the truth. You want the truth. Being the alternate on a team at Nationals is a lot of fun because you don't have all the pressure, but you get to have all the fun of being a poet and hanging around and stuff, and the free food and stuff like that. And then 4 of them will actually have to do the hard work. So I'm going to read the 3 poets who will not be going as representatives of the Worcester Slam team this year. Those 3 poets are Sarah, Mackenzie, and Kim. Give it up for them for what they did for you.